Hello and welcome to the Public Human Resource Management course. This is Professor Saltanat Liebert at VCU. Today's topic is workforce diversity and social equity. The terms that we hear in the context of social equity and diversity are equity and equality. Let's first define these terms. Equality is providing the same level of opportunity and assistance to all segments of society, such as different races and genders. Equity is providing various levels of support and assistance depending on the specific needs or abilities of individuals. Equity includes the correction of existing imbalances in the distribution of social and political values. In contrast to equal treatment for all, equity proposes that benefits be greater for those who are most disadvantaged. Beginning in the 1940s, public administration became heavily focused on efficiency and rationality. Issues related to inequality and injustice were generally not considered. To remedy this, George Frederickson, a prominent public administration scholar, proposed a theory of social equity in 1968 to serve as the third pillar for public administration. The other two pillars at that point were efficiency and economy. Frederickson argued that social equity should be the basis of a just society and should also be a legal basis for the distribution of services. He advanced the theory of social equity, which is based upon Rawls' theory of justice. Social equity is defined as the active commitment to fairness, justice, and equality in the formulation of public policy, in distribution of public services, and in implementation of public policy. George Frederickson argued that social equity should be considered in terms of employment, contracting opportunities, and receipt of government services. On a broader scale, significant inequities still exist in the public sector. In education, for example, scholars have identified disparities in terms of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, gender, and gender identity when it comes to academic achievement, student discipline, teacher perceptions and expectations of student capabilities, and high school graduation rates. In healthcare, there are disparities in regard to health outcomes, provider treatment and behavior, and in overall healthcare quality. In housing, race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status impact public opposition to affordable housing and also to the tone and depth of government responsiveness to requests concerning public housing. Finally, significant racial disparities in the criminal justice system are evidenced at every level throughout the system, from initial contact with police to adjudication outcomes. Given how pervasive these inequities are, achieving social equity in our society is an enormously challenging task. In the context of HR, we often hear and use the term diversity. Diversity is any dimension that can be used to differentiate groups and people from one another. Diversity is also about empowering people by respecting and appreciating what makes them different in terms of age, gender, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, education, or national origin. Evidence shows that diversity can lead to greater service effectiveness, efficiency, and productivity. Diversity can also lead to more creative alternatives and ideas, mainly due to an increased variety of viewpoints. Diversity can also lead to an increased understanding of the community and the marketplace. And it also leads to an increase in the quality of team problem solving. There are, however, challenges that one may encounter in managing diverse teams. These challenges include differences in communication styles, implicit biases that people might have about others, and cultural differences. Cultural differences are particularly relevant in the context of immigrant workers. Despite the progress made regarding equality in the workplace, there are still some barriers that Joanne Pines describes in her book. One of such barriers is a glass ceiling. Glass ceiling is an artificial barrier blocking the advancement of women and minorities to upper-level positions. Sticky floors are situations in which women and minorities are blocked from promotions. Glass walls are situations in which individuals who have been staff members are not viewed as management material and not promoted to managerial positions. And glass escalators are scenarios in which white males working in traditionally female positions have an accelerated career advancement compared to their female peers. These barriers exist because of implicit biases, discrimination, and also because women and minorities may not be seen as fully committed to an organization because of perceived family responsibilities, perceived inability to relocate, or because of the doubts about their leadership styles. Another concept that is important in the public sector today is cultural competency. Being culturally competent means being aware of one's own worldview, developing positive attitudes toward cultural differences, becoming knowledgeable about different cultural practices and worldviews. Culturally competent person also tries to develop skills for effective cross-cultural communication. The pandemic emphasized the importance of cultural competency in the healthcare sector in particular. Culture in healthcare can be defined as how healthcare information is received, how rights and protections are exercised, what is considered to be a health problem, how symptoms are expressed, and who provides treatment, and what type of treatment should be given. It is also important to know the taboo or forbidden subjects in certain cultures and to be able to broach these subjects in a culturally sensitive and appropriate way. For example, in some cultures, depression and other mental health issues are not acknowledged and are not openly discussed. So, to offer effective treatment to patients, the healthcare provider needs to find a culturally sensitive way to communicate with the patient from such culture. Cultural competency is, of course, important not only in healthcare, but in all other public sector settings. This is the end of the lecture on social equity and diversity. Thank you for listening and take care.